So we have a special guest with us today, Paula Monthofer, who's on vacation. She's from Arizona and has driven through to Baton Rouge here for
on vacation
a day, and I shoved her up here. So thanks for coming.
On vacation.
So that's what's happening. How are you?
I'm good. I was really enjoying my vacation.
So Paula is a former Arizona State President. She is currently the RVP for what region?
Region 11.
And what does that encompass?
So that is Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, Nevada. Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, Nevada, and Utah.
Oh. What does an RVP do? What do you do?
So the RVP is the Regional Vice President, because we love acronyms. The Regional Vice Presidents for NAR, there are 13 of us. What NAR does is they divide up their 1.3 million members into 13 regions. The RVPs are then elected by that region to represent them. And we act as a conduit and an intercom between NAR and the members. We get to bring insights and what's up and coming from NAR straight to people, and we get to hear what's happening, what maybe is working and not working at the local levels, and bring that back up to NAR so that they can fix it. So if you have anything that you would like to see changed, comments that you would like to see passed forward at NAR, myself or any of the RVPs, actually any of the NAR leadership, is more than happy to listen to you, and we need your feedback.
Good. Now that we got that out of the way.
Yeah. Well, you asked. That's what I have to say.
I legitimately wanted to know what an RVP did. I know that they're an important position. I just didn't really know kind of. Yeah. Conduit's probably the best word. That makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
So.
It's hard for NAR to get belly to belly with 1.3 million members, so the RVPs kind of help that out.
One of the layers to that.
Yeah.
It works. So how's business? How are things?
Business is great.
Okay.
I've added on a new person to my team last year, which made a very big difference. You know, you can only go so far by yourself.
Yeah.
Especially, I speak across the country, and with volunteering, I'm out of town a lot. So having somebody that is not only personable, but is educated and is a go-getter makes all the difference in the world. So I've had a partner for years, Ginny Britt, but last year we brought on Amanda Maestes, and it's really just taken my residential to another level.
Let me ask you this. Because I'm very curious about kind of the growing. I don't want to use the team concept, but adding people. From a personality standpoint, do you look at people that are like you or opposite than you?
This is such a great question, because I was finding the worst people, like the great people on themselves, but the worst for me because they were too much like me.
Yeah.
So, you know, the DISC assessments, I'm sure you guys have done DISC assessments. If you haven't, just Google free DISC assessment and you can do one.
Yeah.
But I'm an ID, right? Like, are you surprised by that?
No.
Yeah, no, I'm a screaming I, right?
Yes.
But then I've got some D. And so the I's are the influencers, the D's are the drivers. Mm-hmm. And forever I was choosing people that were like me.
Yeah.
And that's not going to help me get any further. So I needed somebody that was an SC. Mm-hmm. So the S's are the people that like stability. They're like water. They just want everybody to get along. They want to be everybody's best friend. And the C's are the compliance people. I am bereft of C. I have no C in me. So having somebody who can be detailed like that, and it was actually Barb Freestone that told me that. I was having trouble for years finding a partner, and Barb said to me, well, Paula, you're an ID, so you need an SC. And I was like, ding! And instantly I thought, Ginny Britt's an SC. She would be an amazing partner, and she's been my partner now for 4 or 5 years.
That's interesting.
So yeah, personality is huge.
We did that. I've only given one personality test to our staff member. I gave it to all of our staff, and then when we were hiring, and we intentionally hired somebody that was opposite me, and it was a very good decision.
Did it work well?
Yeah, still is working well.
That's awesome.
As much as I believe all that personality stuff is, you know.
You did this. Does this symbolize hokey for you?
Yes.
Do jazz hands symbolize hokey for you?
Smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. That's what
a little jazz handsy. It's just a little bit.
So Paula and I have gotten to know each other very well over the years. How many years? 5 years? 4 years?
Yes. I agree with that.
And we sort of meet it in speaker world, and we
had 10 minutes in Vegas in March.
Yeah, we walked from one building to another, and that's kind of what we did. But so tell me, just kind of in your travels, what what do you think the biggest issue from a real estate perspective is? Like from agent standpoint, what are agents having trouble
on the
with?
Ground. I think there's a couple things that agents are having trouble with. Number one thing is that there's this idea out there that you have to be on all the time.
Yeah.
That if you take any time off, that you are losing business and cutting down yourself. And while it may be true that if you take time off that you miss some business because somebody who's going to answer their phone right at that moment, what is absolutely 100% undeniably true is that if you don't, you will lose business and you will lose your love and passion for the industry. So the biggest problem I honestly think is that not enough agents set boundaries or are comfortable knowing that they can set boundaries and be widely successful.
Yeah.
You know.
So how do you start setting those boundaries? What do those boundaries look like?
I think a really easy boundary for people to start off with is decide what your working hours are. Because if you want to work all the time, this industry will let you work all the time. Everybody will call you. So I used to tell people, call me all the time. And they did.
Yeah.
And they called me all the time. So now I tell people very simply, and this is on my machine as well, that if it is my machine.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Nice.
I'm old. That if you leave, if the message is received after 6 or on a Sunday, your call will be returned the next business day. Now, if I'm in a multiple offer situation and it's like 5:59, I'm not like, all right, good luck with that, Brent.
Tapping out.
See you later, you know. But when I answer the phone after 6, when I do show properties on Sundays, because it's the only day my clients can, they appreciate it. Yeah. It's not expected, it's appreciated. Like I had somebody bring me a bottle of wine last year for showing them a property. They're like, I know this is the time you usually spend with Sam. I'm like, yeah, thank you. I'm gonna need this bottle later. Because it is hard work.
Yeah.
But setting the boundaries for yourself doesn't mean that you can never go over them if someone needs you. But it means that you're respecting yourself as a professional. And it also means that you're running your business like a business instead of letting your businesses run you.
Yep. The tail wagging the dog.
It's huge. So just decide what your hours are. I have an agent in my town, I was telling Brent earlier, who's in the top 10. This lovely lady does not take any meetings before 10 a.m. in the morning. None. And she just straight up tells her clients, my brain doesn't really work before then, so I need to meet with you later. She does push later into the day with her hours, but that's what works for her.
Yeah. I'm the exact opposite.
You need to be up earlier.
I'm a morning person. But that's kind of my point is you know, you look at 10 a.m. and that to me that sounds ridiculous.
To me it does too.
So you can't sit there and say that she's not going to lose business by not taking a meeting before 10 a.m. She's totally going to lose business.
That's such a good point.
But
it's the business that wouldn't be a good fit for her.
Correct.
And I think that's the other thing too, is that people think if I focus on this niche or this area that I love, like say you just absolutely love first-time home buyers, but you're afraid to focus on them because then you're going to miss out on all the second home people that want to buy. And it's the opposite is what's true, is that by focusing on what you want, it doesn't shut down the other funnels from coming to you. It just widens what you want. So you're 100% correct. There are people who are like, I can't work with her. She's not working during the hours that I need or isn't the type of professional that I picture in my head. But enough people do, and she enjoys it enough when she is working with people because they're a good fit for her that she's been able to get into the top 10.
Well, and part of it is you know, if you know that you're going to do a bad, like, you know, I would say the evening aspect. So a lot of my main work, recording, writing, course creation, that sort of stuff has to be done in the morning. Because I know if it's done in the afternoon, it's going to be poor quality.
See, mine gets done between about 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. That's when the majority of my course creation, great, because my daughter's gone to bed, my husband's gone to bed. I call that my second shift. Yeah. That's when I get up and I crank out the stuff for my classes.
Mine's 5 a.m. because everything's quiet, everything's done.
The same thing for me, but just at the end of the day instead of the beginning. Everything's quiet.
And that's the thing is if you don't, you know, going back to the 10 a.m., if you don't want to be there, then you're not going to do a good job anyway.
Right.
So
I need to go, I guess, a step further back before I say what the
environment.
Boundaries are. Is first you got to understand yourself.
Yeah.
Like you got to know when are you most effective? When are you excited about working on a task? And just pay attention to yourself for a little bit, like a couple weeks. Just pay attention to your energy. When you feel more energized and when you feel depleted, and just notice that, and then do your best to manage your life to give people the work that's taking the energy from you, because even if you pay them, it'll wind up that you make more money if you focus on the tasks that you enjoy and love.
How do you identify that? I mean, just everybody knows what they like to do and
I
what they
don't
don't
think
like to
they
do.
do, actually.
Really?
I think that people...
So how do you find out?
I think one of the ways is just, like I said, paying attention to how your energy feels. But I don't think we do that naturally. Like, I don't think people are like...
Paying attention to how your energy feels. Okay.
Yeah, see, he's going to do this now.
Yeah,
But it's
I'm trying
okay,
to
because
figure
I'm going
this
to go
out.
there with him anyway.
This is why you're here. You
okay.
have to break through this very structured
know.
brain of mine. I need to pay attention to my energy.
So you know that there's some things when you do them, and when you are done, you just feel lighter.
Yeah.
You feel energized. You're excited for the next task. And there's some things that you do that suck the ever-loving life right out of you.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I'm doing to you right now.
You're not. It's okay.
Draining the life right out of you.
I am on vacation, just to remind you all. But I don't think we pay attention to that. I think that we just like, on to the next task, on to the next. We're reactive instead of being proactive. And so I think if people can just take an honest account and just be a little bit self-aware and start to notice, man, it felt so good getting that listing presentation done,
Right.
you know, or I loved working on the CMA. I hated when I got in front of the person, or whatever aspect it is. Just pay attention to that. It doesn't mean that you're going to be able to clear out all the things that sucked your energy immediately. But if you're at least aware of it, then you can set that up. If you probably know by this point in your life if you're a morning person or a night person, so that's an easy one. But figuring out what you enjoy and where you get energy and don't before you set up the boundaries for yourself will just give you a little guideline.
Well, it'll work. I mean, I can see that kind of where you don't want to put back-to-back energy suckers.
Right.
You know, you want to kind of mix it up. That makes a little bit more sense.
And if it's something that's an energy sucker forever, and there's someone in your office that fills them with energy,
yeah.
I mean, if they're going to do it better because they're happy about it, and you don't have to do it, that's just double bonus.
And I think that's the problem is the issue that I see a good bit is agents want to do it all themselves. They have this concept, which...
They think they have to.
Well, I'm the same way. I mean, I spent...
Because I'm not going to do it as good as you. I'm going to muck it up.
I spent 10 years of my business doing it all myself. And number one, because I didn't have a choice. I mean, it was, you're trying to survive and put food on the table. But at the same time, you kind of realize if you want to scale at any point, if you want to grow at any point,
right,
you got to take some things off your plate. And that was the hardest leap for me to take in order to do that. So how do you get there? Like, how do you know when you're ready to scale in that? And I'm not talking about hiring a team. I'm just talking about, okay, I have this thing, and maybe it's replaced by a person. Maybe I want to invest in a program. Maybe I need somebody to handle just one singular task. Like,
I think that's a great way to get it started too. Is just thinking about it one task at a time, right? Like I get all these internet leads and I never work them. I need somebody to just sit down and work these leads for me. But thinking about it via tasks is, I think, the perfect way to go. Like, I wouldn't put a big umbrella of buyer's agent or something like that until you have a list of tasks first that you want off of your plate. You know?
Well, you get to that, and I think that's the biggest hesitation is people feel like when they hire this person that they're not going to do it as well as they are, and they're not.
They're not. Especially if they're newer or they need training, or they're older and they need retraining.
But that you're giving them, you're paying them, and they may not have enough to do. And I think creating a task list might actually be the right answer.
So for me, what I did to get started with that was it was an hourly, and so if there were a lot of tasks, then there was a lot of hours, and if there weren't a lot of tasks, then there weren't a lot of hours, and that way I wasn't beholden to a set pay every week where I'm trying to come up with things, but it's more just when I need it. And so I think that's a great thing to just put out there, is that there's so many different ways that you can structure that help. Licensed or unlicensed is a huge difference, and then based on how many hours you need, or maybe completing a task. But there's so many different ways that can be set up. I wouldn't let the fear of not knowing how to do it all hold you back from it, because you can just baby step into it by hiring one person to do one task for you. See how it goes. If they do a good job, give them another task.
All right. Well, let's talk about the HR component. It's just two people in an office. Like, what happens if you get it wrong? What happens if it's not the right person? That's
which
a
happens.
fear. Oh, yeah.
Which happens a lot. So a couple things. You want to have a good plan in place ahead of time instead of after, right? Prevention versus cure. So when you hire somebody, when you're bringing them on, you let them know that this is going to be on a 90-day probational basis. We're going to make sure that you work well with me and I work well with you. And so that is set from the beginning, which has made the times before I started looking at the personality and seeing who would be a good fit, it made those breaks much easier.
Yeah.
Much easier.
I was just curious. I mean, I'm just trying to go through all of the problems that people have.
Right.
I mean,
and then just
there's
me
a lot of
personally,
question.
when I let people go, I like to give them it's not you, it's me. That just makes me feel good. So I'm like, these are the things that I need, and this is not what I'm getting, but I also don't think that I express this to you, right? And just owning whatever your part is in it, and giving grace to the human that they can still be a great human, even if they're not a good fit for you.
Yeah, and there's a lot to that. I mean, most of the time those issues are my fault. I caused a lot of that.
I mean,
so
but I
totally
think
get it.
I think that's fair, and I think that's fair as a business owner to not expect yourself to know it all up front.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work out because of mistakes that you've made, that's okay too. That doesn't mean that you're stuck because it was your mistake. That means you can own your mistake and find a person that fits what you actually need.
Let's switch gears. What's your favorite thing that you teach on?
Oh, that's such a tough time. I think leadership is probably my absolute favorite. I love, just speaking in general, I love teaching somebody something new, reminding them that they're awesome, that they are of worth as a human, and then sending them back out on their way. But I think why I love leadership the best under that is because these are people that are so excited and jazzed up and primed and poised to then go out and do that for other people. So it's like empowering the empowerers.
Yeah.
You know?
So how do you do that? I mean, somebody's interested in leader. What does that mean? Leadership in
Leadership is huge,
NAR,
right? It could be anything.
in the company, and local.
I hope everybody is at least a leader in their own life.
Yeah.
At the very least. Like, I think leadership is for everybody. You know, I hope you're at least leading your own life. Like, making choices for yourself as a leader, leading your business, you know, as entrepreneurs. I honestly think that everybody's a leader, and you don't need position to be a leader. I think we all know people that don't hold position but hold a lot of influence and a lot of weight and can carry a room even though they're not elected in a specific position. So
don't need a position to be a leader. Wow. That's I like that. That's interesting. Yeah.
And so in my state, in Arizona, we have JT Tegas, who has never served as president of AAR, but who has more influence than any of the past presidents and than all of us combined. So he will sit very quietly and listen to our deliberations in our 100+ board of directors meeting. And then when he gets up to make his comment, he sways the room.
Interesting.
And he doesn't have a position, but he is obviously a leader. So I think everybody is a leader. I hope they're at least leading their own lives. So the leadership skills really aren't just for someone that's going to be leading a board or running a meeting. I think that leadership skills are for everybody.
So what are the important leadership skills?
I think that some of the most important things that leaders can do is, number one, is to focus on gratitude. Okay.
How so?
So there's this, if you're going to lead a people or even like lead yourself through something, right? Just taking it to all the different levels. I've got to lead myself through this. I don't want to do it, but I got to go through it today. My favorite way to start, and I do this purposefully, is with gratitude. Because here's the magical thing about gratitude. When you are feeling grateful, you can't be petty.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. You can't be angry pants, right? You can't have those two emotions at the same time. So starting with gratitude and not being afraid to go to gratitude as a leader and take your people there with you just kind of cracks all their hearts open and puts them in a good place. And once that happens, then it's easy to get to wherever direction you're trying to lead them or yourself.
So is it like an affirmation, like, hey, I'm thankful for...
So when I'm doing like leadership sessions or when I'm doing classes with people, what I'll do is we'll kind of go through and just remind people how much they have to be grateful for. So there's like all these statistics out there that if you have food in your refrigerator, you're better off than like 73% of the world's population, you know, and just a little bit of money in your pocket. So like recognizing all that we have, I think it's good to remind people and just show them kind of what they might be missing about the people that don't have as much as we do. When you're doing for others, that also opens up some great spots in you. So with leadership sessions, typically what we'll do is we'll do a gratitude project together where we're either writing letters of gratitude to people who serve in the military.
Okay.
Or we're putting together care packages for homeless people or people that are in halfway houses, women that have moved out of domestic violence situations and are moving forward. And when you get a group of people thinking beyond themselves to help another person and about how much they have to be grateful for, that's a leader.
Yeah.
Right? That's what should be at the heart of a leader, is somebody thinking beyond themselves and all that they have to be grateful for, that they can use as an opportunity. So gratitude is huge, and it really works well. I've actually used it when like everybody's getting crabby, and I'm like, all right, everybody write down one thing you're grateful for. And grumble, grumble, grumble. You'd be grumbling.
I'm the grumbler.
You're the grumbler. And then you write it down, and you can't, if you share a couple from the room, whole temperament, the whole temperature of the entire room is changed. Yeah. Right? It's so simple. There's like all these studies recently about how neurologically I know I'm really going there. The wiring in your brain literally changes with daily practices of gratitude. That people that practice gratitude are happier. So.
Well, you're basically thinking happy thoughts. So that how could you not be happier when you're thinking happy thoughts?
Right. It's true. And so I think that gratitude as a leader is really important. I think it's often overlooked. Yeah. I think
I'd agree with that.
I think another thing that leaders...
Because people don't think about it as a leadership trait. Nope. That's the problem.
Not even a little bit, right? Tommy Choi, who's president of the Chicago Area Association of Realtors this year, his motto for the year is growth through gratitude.
I like that. Yeah.
Yes, it's really strong.
What else besides gratitude?
I think another way that, another big thing that people don't talk about with leadership that needs to be talked about is self-care.
Yeah? What does that mean?
Taking care of yourself, because you can't pour...
Yeah, self-care is taking care of yourself. Good job.
Yeah, Brent. I'm surprised you didn't get that on your own. Anyway, you can't pour from an empty cup. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so we are so, especially realtors, just realtors in general.
Givers.
We will work our tails off. We'll work nights. We'll work weekends. We'll work 3 days straight for people without eating. And then we call them and say, got you the dishwasher. And we're like, well, that was easy. Instead of explaining, it took 3 days. Yeah. The seller said A, B, and C, so I did D, E, and F. And then he understood. Like, we need to explain that a little bit better. And for leaders, it's the same thing. So realtor leaders are these people that are working their tails off in their business and then taking time to volunteer for their industry. So they're like special kind of giver, you know? And they go all the time. And they don't set any boundaries for themselves. And it becomes a double whammy between their workload and their leadership load. So taking time for yourself looks like really simple things like making sure you get sleep, which might mean being Cinderella at real estate events. Midnight comes, that's your cue. I know you're famous about you don't go to second locations.
No, I don't.
If we're out at events, Brent's like, I will meet you for dinner. We're like, we're going to go out for drinks after. He's like, second location, I'm out. But that makes a really big difference, guys. I mean, huge. Making sure that you're eating right. I know this all sounds simple. It's kind of because it is. But the simplest things are the ones we overlook. Yeah. Sleep, eating, drinking, water is absolutely huge, huge. Hydrating. And then, this is kind of really important. There are going to be people, no matter what kind of leader you are, that suck the ever-loving life right out of you. You need to have a game plan for that. You need to have some, like I have friends that like they'll see me with a certain look over my face and they'll know, hey Paula, I gotta come and grab you and talk to you. Having partners in crime to help you out, because everyone is going to want you to be on all the time as a leader. And so setting those boundaries for yourself of when you're off and, you know, having some friends help you out and helping your friends out, and being honest with yourself about when it's too much. So maybe you want to go to that RPAC event because they asked you and they so wanted you to be there, but in order to do that, it means you're going to have to spend another day away from your house and your family needs some FaceTime with you too. Yeah. Those are all...
It's tough stuff. And you're taking self-care right now. I mean, you're basically on a month-long trip with your daughter across country.
but now I'm working.
1 hour. This doesn't work. Come on.
Just using my
You said work. You're
I
not
was
doing
on a
anything.
vacation this morning.
That's right. With healthy cinnamon rolls.
Synonym rolls. You're getting it
Synonym
wrong.
rolls,
There were
that's
synonym
right.
rolls. Yeah, so my daughter and I are traveling for 26 days across the country right now. And yeah, this was a very deliberate self-care thing. So I did my calendar for the entire year as, and people laughed when I did this, as every other week. Like this week I will work, this week is set as family time. And that has saved me so much. But even with that, I didn't have anything booked for June to speak or do anything or do any volunteer work. And I was like, I need to get this filled up. And I was like, or maybe I don't. And being able, but I could not, and this is really important, I could not do this if I did not have my 2 partners in Flagstaff maintaining my business. And I couldn't do it unless I had been okay about walking away from that and knowing that there's systems in place and people in place to take care of it. You can't leave if you're worried about these things. Because I don't know how many vacations have you had where you're working the deals, where you're making sure that things are closing. You're always on, even when you're on vacation.
Yeah, I do that. I can relax. I can relax in short spurts.
You say that like you're trying to convince yourself. I can relax.
Well, you have deliberately looked at your calendar that way, and Evan, a mutual friend of ours, also from Arizona,
another great speaker,
did that this year as well.
Oh, did he?
Where he deliberately said, "I'm only going to go," and I forget what his timetable was, but it was like 1 week a month or on.
Yep.
And I don't know. I like the idea of that, but physically, I don't know.
Physically, it revulses you.
Well, no. I mean, that's a toughie for me. Like I'd have a hard time, and I don't know why.
It was tough for me.
I don't know why, but it's not. You know, I don't want to sound like I dislike my family, but it's.
I know you like them.
Yeah, I love them most times too. But it's to me that's an easy thing to watch people do. But for me, if I were to take 2020 and say, all right,
just block it out.
I'm going to block it off.
Yeah.
No, I don't know that I could. I mean.
So where's the friction? The friction's not in, like, by the way, wall calendars are a beautiful thing, year at a glance. Just see it all at once. I have a 2 year at a glance calendar that just makes me so geekily happy.
Yeah.
But okay, so you got it out there. It's not physically drawing on it. That's not the friction for you. Is it the saying no when people ask you to do things during those weeks?
It's this is really going to sound selfish, but it's physically watching money flow away from me instead of it coming to me.
And it will.
And that's a hard. I don't like to give stuff up like that. And I understand that it's a risk reward. Now, one thing we do is we take some very deliberate vacations.
You've been really good about that. You guys have been really deliberate. It was like 1 week a month you guys were doing last year, I think, right?
We do family vacations, or even if it's a day here or so, where we try to do a pretty good job of checking out.
That's really good.
But just not saying, I'm the guy I'll fly in at 1 a.m. so I can sleep in my own bed. But
right, same. I will do the same.
I'm going to say yes, but I will say yes at all costs to my physical health, probably.
Yeah.
There's been many times where I'll drive 4 hours, teach 8 hours, drive 4 hours.
So for me, it would not have worked unless I had done that. Like if I didn't have that set and people were just calling me and asking me, it would be a mess. It would be all over the place because I'm a people pleaser and I really want to say yes to everybody. But because I had that there, that allowed me to say no. I was like, no, I have to say no because
you had something in its
family
place.
Time.
Yeah, okay.
So that gave, now, I know we were talking about this last night. It was really hard to say no. Like that is a muscle that I have now exercised that has grown strong and I'm really good at saying no now.
Yeah.
And seeing when we can work at a later time. But I did, without a doubt, I said no to more than I said yes to this year. That is a truth. For work. But I said yes to more than I said no to for Sam and Mark.
Yeah.
And that's where I wanted to be.
Well, financially, how did that work out? You're okay with that?
Financially, it's working out great.
Okay.
It's worked out really well.
Because that's the rub. I mean, that's the struggle I
it.
think that people have is
100%.
the struggle that I have is I love my family, but
I'd love to spend
part
more
of
time
me
with
is
them.
I want to be the provider.
I like food with my meals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. That's
So
totally fair.
it's an interesting. I'm trying to figure out.
Without a doubt,
I'm a big believer in work-life balance is a
I don't know
load
if
of
this is
crap,
a good thing to say to you or not, but without a doubt, I probably could have made double
Yeah.
what I'm going to make this year.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful that I'm not.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Leighton's 7.
She is.
Sam's 8.
She is.
They're only going to be these ages for 1 year, you know?
But I don't know that I don't know. Maybe I missed out on stuff. I don't know. I'm trying to, like, I don't, it's not an
understand what you're
extent. Occasionally, you'll get in an airport. I do this a lot where I sit in an airport and I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, this is a terrible idea.
See, me, it's my second shift. I'm like, why am I not sleeping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, you're there.
Right.
So there's ways. I don't know.
No, absolutely,
I don't know.
there are ways.
I just think
There's so many more ways to be a great parent. There's so many ways to be a great realtor. There's so many different shades of what success can look like in both of those areas.
I think that's important. And now that I think about it, I do a little bit. You identify what's important. You get, for instance, we know that my son starts kindergarten this year, and there's a week, and we don't know what day, but we know the week in August. And my wife and I had this conversation yesterday, where we were doing something, and it was on the weekend. So I'm going to be gone Saturday morning, but she was very aware of, because it was on our calendar. Nate starts kindergarten. Can't schedule anything this whole week.
Nothing.
It might be Tuesday, it might be Thursday, it might be Friday. We don't know. So to that extent, yes. I mean, you want to kind of be there for those moments, and we carve out those. That's just, I guess it's the week that's bothering me.
I get it. I can completely understand that. I'm going to tell you something. You might love this, you might hate it. I don't know, but I just learned recently.
I'll probably hate it.
Well, yeah, because he hates everything I talk about. But I love words, and I love like etymology, like the history of words and the origin of words. And I just found out recently that the word priority wasn't pluralized until the 1900s. It was a singular word. You had a priority.
You only had one. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Okay.
Like that just intrigued me greatly. Like, if you have one, what is your priority?
I agree with that.
And I know for a lot of my friends, like I have the boundaries. I've got my calendar listed out. Some of my friends will write down like what their values are. Evan does this.
Yeah.
What his values are for the year, and then if something comes up that doesn't match with what his values or what his goals are that he's set for the year, then he doesn't do it. It's really easy once you start being successful as a leader to have people want you to be everywhere.
Yeah.
And you've really got to take the time to make sure that you can do well what they're asking you to do, because you'll get people asking you as a realtor as well, as a practicing realtor, you get people, hey, I see you've got your real estate license. Can you help me rent out my house since it's not selling?
Yeah.
Do you have experience as a property manager? People will ask you to do all kinds of things that are beyond what you can do, and being humble and honest about that is going to help you out. And if it's something you want to do and you can't do yet or don't know how to do yet, then be honest about that, because most people will give you a shot.
Yeah. That's interesting. Okay, now we're going in another direction that I like. Is being able, because again, you look at it from an income standpoint, and I'm not going to say no.
Right, I am.
All right. So you won't say no. Why? You'll say no.
I'll say no because it's a week that I have slated as family time.
No, I'm talking about the other part.
The other part.
The
when
part
people ask
you, hey, I need you to rent out my house.
Absolutely. So, and that happens.
Can you? Yes.
Absolutely.
Should you?
Should you? No. And our code of ethics is really clear about this, right?
Okay.
Our code of ethics says that you are either going to get additional training or get somebody to help you. I think I might see if I can get that changed to an and, because I don't think that should be an or. I think you should get additional help, somebody to help you, and you should get additional training. I don't think it should be an either or. And you have to disclose in writing if this is a new area for you.
Yeah.
So I had somebody years ago that wanted to work on a commercial property. I'm like, I'll do that. Let me refer you. And they're like, no, I want to work with you. And I was like, maybe I do want to learn about commercial. Okay. In writing, fully disclosed. took some classes, had another agent in my office mentor me. Yeah, no, I want nothing to do with commercial. I'm good with that. But it doesn't mean that you can't grow. It doesn't mean that you can never do anything else. It just means you have to be humble.
And that's the hard part
and honest.
Is a lot of times you see people, and I don't blame them for this at all, but they want to expand their horizon.
They're hungry.
I mean, you get somebody, I'm working with an investor, we're helping him buy some rental properties, and then all of a sudden he wants to move into a small commercial property, and you go, well, I mean, I've been working with him on this, I don't see why I can't work with him on that. And I think that there's some definite growth there, but it's hard internally to say no. I mean, I don't know.
Yes.
I don't. Again,
especially
this is why I love you.
right?
Is you and I think completely differently.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can say no. Mm-hmm. I can say maybe. I can say, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think through how I could have this conversation. And we do it a lot. Is somebody, I take that back. I mean, somebody asks you to do something you don't want to do. You're like, well, I'm probably not.
Don't want to do is a little easier, right? Not capable of doing, but maybe have a slight interest in. That's where you really need your humility to kick in.
Yeah.
For your own protection, for the best service to whoever you're trying to help.
Correct.
Right?
Is if you say yes, there's a pretty good chance you're not going to do a very good job of it. That's not to say that you can't get paid. You're not going to get paid full, but you can refer that out and learn something along the way. And I think there's kind of where the maturity is right there. Is understand. And a lot of brokers have a problem with this. Brokers look. Let's make this a policy and say you can't. Mm-hmm. Your first commercial deal will not be solo.
Right.
Your second commercial deal will not be solo.
I admire those brokers.
You're going to have to work with someone. That's not to say that in the future you can't, but your first and second will not. So
but have a healthy respect for the contractual terms that you are not familiar with.
Correct.
Right? Just have a good, healthy respect for that.
Well,
plus, humble people can learn.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not humble, then we're not going to be able to get any more information because you're already filled up. And if there's anything
I just had to talk through it. I'd probably get there.
Yeah.
It may take me a conversation or two with them, but I'd get there.
Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with people striving and wanting to try something new. I actually think that's awesome. Like, be ambitious and go for it, but just be humble and know that you've got to learn a little bit first. Well,
it's not only that; it's a continuous learning. I mean, that's the one thing that's the piece that I see is when you get an agent 5 years in that's looking to grow their business, but they're not willing to invest back in themselves to go to a conference, to go to a, I learned a long time ago, one of the top agents in our market, they spent an obscene amount of money on education, and it was a lot. I mean, it was 5 figures, and I was like, and they had it very spelled out. They were like, I go to one conference out of my market that's real estate related, and I go with, and she's like, everybody that I ask at this conference is the exact same question, and it's whatever. How do you convert for sale by owner leads? How do you convert? And she just asks this, and she gets all of this stuff, and then she says, all right, well, then I go to one sales conference that has nothing to do with real estate. So she was very deliberate about.
I love that.
I go to this in my market. I make sure that I go to this that's out of my market. I go to this that's not real estate related, and it really sort of opened my eyes on education just isn't about one specific thing, but she would go with a purpose. And I've started looking at conferences this way, where you go and it's like, all right, I might spend 3 days here, but this is the one question that I'm going to answer. I'm going to get answered.
Love it.
And I'm going to ask everybody that I know this one question, and I get all these responses. And it was really cool to look at it that way. I learned a lot from her. I
love that mindset, and I love the idea of I love the idea of going to events with a purpose. Every event you go, you should have a purpose. Like, one person you want to meet, questions you want to get answered. You should definitely do that. And I think that people go with the best intents to conferences, and they got all their cards, and they're all ready to go. And then they go, hi, how you doing? I work for RE/MAX. Who do you work with? Oh, Century 21? Awesome. And that's the conversation.
Yeah.
That's a lame conversation, man. Nobody's going to remember that. If you want to have better conversations, you need to ask better questions.
Yes.
Like the question specific that she was asking, or just a general question.
Like,
hey,
do you have a team? How did you start? What did you grow? What did you learn? Why don't you have one? And I mean, she would go with a specific purpose, because when she was looking to grow a business, she ran into some challenges.
I love that.
And that was her question. How do you do this? How do you do that? And you'd be amazed at what you learn from other business people
that aren't
real estate related.
Because I bet you found this too. Most of the successful people that I know, they are more than happy to share everything, all the recipe.
That's why they're sitting in
everything
that
they've
chair right
got.
there. Yeah.
They're happy to share all that stuff with you because most of them know, and this is what they'll say, I'm going to tell this whole room full of this. I'm not afraid to tell my competitors this because they're not going to do it.
True story.
And so they're happy to share with you. But even if it's not a real estate specific question, even if you just met people at a conference and you said, what are you excited about this year? What are you looking forward to? That's the kind of question that when people answer, they light up.
Yeah.
And when people light up, they think that you're better.
Yeah.
They think that you are an amazing conversationalist. So the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, I'm sure you've read it.
Dale Carnegie?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I avoided that book forever.
I went through the course, man. I won the award. I won whatever Dale Carnegie award there was.
You're not
in the class.
Win an award on winning friends. That's not real.
No, that's not true.
That's not true.
But I did get the book, and there was some award at the end of the class. I don't remember what it was.
That's pretty cool. I would love to take a course. So I avoided that book forever because I thought it sounded smarmy. Win friends and influence people. I just want to be a good person. Yeah, the book is a blueprint. That book could also, you could just take that cover off and slap a new cover on it for how to engage on social media, and it would work just as well. At any given point, more people are interested and excited about what's happening in their life than what's happening in your life. It's great stuff.
I'm going to wrap up by talking about one thing that you said.
Okay.
We can speak to an entire room of competitors and tell them, unfurl
Secret
all of
sauce.
the secrets, and they won't do it. Why is
won't.
that?
I think the number one reason that I see is that people get in their own way. People push things away from themselves because they think, oh, it's too complicated, it's going to be too hard, they did that, that's for them, that's not for me. And they push things away from themselves that they are absolutely capable of, that they can do. Yeah. I think the block is in their own brain. I don't think it's a real block. That's it.
I think part of it too, and this is one of the hard parts to what we do, is we blab for anywhere from 60 minutes to 4 hours to 8 hours.
Yeah, I do.
And we just content after content.
Yeah.
So when you look over a 3-day span of a conference, or even 60 minutes of a class, or 3 or 4 hours of a class, you have just all of this.
Sometimes it's too much.
And you leave and you're like, oh yeah. So another thing, when I'm typically on a plane coming back from a conference, I'll write down just one, like, I learned all this stuff, but I'm going to do this one thing.
Yeah.
And if you can just implement, and I always look at it as a 10% rule. I struggle a lot of times with double your business overnight, and that really frustrates me. What I really want to focus on is one thing. Like, just think about, we were talking about business growth, and you think about an agent, and you think about this, and you were just able to do one more transaction this year that you did last year. That is 100% pure profit.
See, what I love about that...
Because it's not double your business.
No, but what I love about that is that it's a threshold that you're setting that you believe you can cross.
Yeah.
And then, here's the other beauty of that, is that working really hard to get that one extra one will probably get you 2 or 3 extra ones. Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes just breaking inertia, just getting out of your own way to try something is what makes the difference.
So you just implement that one thing and see if it has the ability to get you that 100% pure profit. Or, where I have found success as well, is free up 5% of your day, 10% of your day. So when you start looking at, 10% of your day for 5 days in a row, that's liberating.
That is liberating.
It's absolute. So when you come and implement this one, and that's kind of the key, is it sounds stupid, but when you go to a 3-day conference and you bring home one concept.
Does it sound like this to you?
Yeah, it kind of
doesn't sound like that to me.
Oh, well. But from the extent, people look at it and I'm going to spend all this money to go to a conference, and then in turn you're only going to come back with one thing. People look at it as a loss, and I did for years. But when you start going, okay, well, I'm going to just do this one, and it saves you 1 hour a day, which in turn turns into 5 hours a week.
That's huge.
You know, and you kind of think about.
So here's what I think is a loss. I think it's a loss if you go to a conference or a convention and you've got pages of notes, and then you get back to your desk, and those smart notes go in your smart drawer and never get looked at again, which, if we're all honest, is the way that the majority of people attend conferences and conventions, myself included, totally. But write all those notes out for yourself while you're taking the classes, and then siphon out 1, 2 things that you are actually going to do.
When you're on the plane, just one thing.
And then if you really want to be powerful about the time that you just invested already, then before you leave that class, you talk to another person.
Yeah.
And you exchange information. And you say, this is the one thing I'm going to do. What's the one thing you're going to do? And then you call them. Because accountability partners are magic.
Yeah, they are.
You will never get as much work done as you get done the 5 minutes before you call your accountability partner. You won't call them and say you didn't do anything.
That's why personal trainers are
It's the same
successful.
thing. It's that little pinch. But it doesn't have to
I
be
could totally
somebody...
do everything that a personal trainer without the personal trainer.
No, you can't. So, but you don't, I mean, you can pay for a coach. Coaches are amazing. Or you could just find somebody in class, similar mindset as you, make it somebody that you like. Don't set up another call with somebody you don't like.
Yeah.
And then just set up a simple call. It is simple and it is powerful.
Yeah.
And it actually makes sure that that time that you've invested has more value beyond the time that you sat in the chair.
There you go. I think that's a good way to wrap it up.
Okay. I'm going to go back to my vacation.
All right, you go have fun at your vacation. I appreciate this. This was fun.
This is fun. Thank you so much. I did enjoy it too, although I just had to give you a really hard time about it.
You
I'm
will
glad
give me
that
a
we
hard
went there.
time. You will give me a hard time for years.
Anything. I can't believe that we talked about energy and gratitude, and you didn't blow up. Your head's still on your shoulders.
I'm still here. I'm growing.
Are you going to be watching your energy for a couple of days?
I'm going to try.
You can't even say it with a straight face.
Oh, you're funny.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. I loved it.
This is fun.